Welcome to the Garage Door Heroes podcast. I am your host, Robb Leishman, founder of Legit 5 Garage Door Marketing, and this is the place where garage door dealers become true heroes in their markets and businesses. In each episode, I bring you proven strategies, insider stories, and conversations with industry leaders to help you grow your company, lead your team with confidence, and create the freedom you've been looking for. Because in this business, it's not just about fixing doors, it's about building lives, families, and legacies. Let's get started. Right on. Hey, all you garage door heroes, thank you so much for joining in today, taking time out of your day and out of your life to take a look at what we've got today. Is an exciting, very exciting episode, actually, to me. This is about implementing a system of operations in your business, and it's called the EOS, or Entrepreneur's Operating System, and it is all about growth. It is all about success and feeling confident and solid in your processes and systems in your business, and it can be applied to anywhere. And I talk to various people in various places and stages of life in various businesses, and it can apply everywhere. And I don't even have my head around it enough to say this is what everybody needs. But I think that it's awesome in it. And what we have, or who we have today, is a very special guest. He is one of my great friends. I consider myself blessed and lucky to have Lyn Askin as one of my friends, and his willingness to come on here. And Lyn's got a story. Lyn's got a great story that I think a lot of us can relate to, and how he brought around implementing EOS in his life. So I'm going to bail out now. I want Lyn to just take some time and introduce himself. Thank you, Lyn. Thanks a ton. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Rob, it's so good to be here. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. You read it exactly how I wrote it. Beautiful. Perfect.
Sure.
Kidding. Hey, it's great to be here. It's great to talk to you and your group about EOS. And so I guess I'll introduce myself. My name's Lyn Askin. I am a lifelong entrepreneur. Probably, I guess I had a paper route when I was 9. I grew up in a house with a lot of love, Rob, but not a lot of money. And so everything that I wanted in my life, I earned. Again, starting very young, had a paper route. Earned those quarters and nickels and things to be able to just buy anything I wanted. The things that I wanted then. And as I grew older, I guess I was always an entrepreneur. I think in my early 20s, I started building computers. In 1996, I built one of the first online auctions. eBay hired their first employee in 96. So we were pretty early on the internet auction space. Launched an e-commerce store in 1997, and have since been doing, sort of digital marketing, internet marketing, building websites for businesses ever since. And so, so for the past 25, I can't even do the math, but roughly 25 to 30 years, I've been in the internet marketing space.
Right on.
But, had the same problems that most people have in their businesses. Sort of had a lack of clear vision about where we were headed or how we were going to get there. We really had some team members or employees that sort of had one foot in the door and one foot out. And quite frankly, there was really a lack of accountability across the board, including myself, about, and how we were getting the work done.
What a trap we all get into, though, right? I mean, I don't know. I've never spoken to anyone that hadn't been in that accountability trap or cycle, if you will.
Yeah, I think as entrepreneurs, we're all kind of wired. We're wired about the same way in a lot of ways. We're used to dealing in the chaos, and we're used to dealing with, 136 simultaneous issues that are just hammering us all the time. And it's just sort of the way we live.
For sure.
But sort of despite all of that, Rob had a pretty successful business, and I'm a pretty lucky guy. But let's bring this around to EOS a little bit. I bought the book. I bought Traction. It's a book by Gino Wickman. I bought this book in 2014. Went back and checked it out on my my Amazon history. So I bought it in 2014, read the book, kind of complicated. It's simple but not easy, maybe is a good way to look at it. Maybe didn't have the right team in place and just kind of sort of tried to self-implement it a little bit. But in 2020, I was in my yard. I was, repairing a fence after I think it was Hurricane Laura came through Louisiana and had, devastated our area a little bit. But I was out back and I was repairing a fence, and Rob, I collapsed in my yard. I suffered a massive pulmonary embolism, and that's not a thing that a lot of people get to live through. And so, on my way to the hospital emergency room, all I could really think about was what kind of mess I'd left my family. I honestly, just a couple years before that, I'd lost my dad, and now my son was losing his, and so I again, as I was raced to the hospital, all I could think about was my wife and son and the mess that I had left them in my business. Wife was going to have to go down to my office. She would have had to fire all of our employees. She was going to have to lose all of our clients and lock the door behind me, Rob. And that would have been my legacy. And so, obviously, thank God I survived that. I spent, I think, a little over a week in the ICU. But it took me a good 3 months to even feel like I had the energy to even get back to work. Obviously that takes its toll on your business, not being there. But I knew I had to make a change, and I knew that I had to get out of this cycle of having it was a business, but it was really just a job because it relied so heavily on me. And had I died that day, my business would have died with me. And so I knew I needed to change, and I knew I needed to get better at the sort of the art and science of running a great business. And I found EOS again. I picked up traction again, found EOS, and ended up hiring an EOS implementer to help us put it in place. And over the next year and a half, 2 years, we had a pretty remarkable transformation. We 3x'd our revenue over that period. Wow. We 7x'd our net profit. We grew from 10 employees to 27 at one point. And then probably more importantly, I was able to take myself out of running the day-to-day operations of my business. So
there we go.
I guess that's where I sort of I drank all of the EOS Kool-Aid. It changed my life. It probably saved my life, Rob. And it gave me the freedom to own a business, not a job. It gave me the freedom to do things that I love, like coaching other entrepreneurs, and becoming an EOS implementer just seemed like such a natural extension of that I wanted to share EOS with others and help them, sort of have this sort of transformation that I had in my business and in my life.
I love it. What a vision, what a mission to be on. There's obviously a conversion process for you to kind of come around to that. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Lyn. Give us some nuts and bolts of EOS. Like, you had that moment and of realization that you had, created a job and it relied on you. And that's a realization I think a lot of people don't have. What's that like? And how do we get people to pause and think about, do you have a job or do you have a business? And then what do you want? And then let's move that to starting to create a business out of their job.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great books on that. I think if you were to pick up the book, E-Myth Revisited is one. I think that's a fantastic book that really describes that. He probably coined the phrase, have a business, not a job, or whatever. I think that's Michael Gerber's. It's a great book. I read that many, many years ago. I read a lot, and I stacks of books behind me. It doesn't always sink in, and it doesn't always get put into place, but I think, like I said before, a lot of entrepreneurs' visions never really get realized because they don't have a system of discipline and accountability, and quite frankly, people to help you sort of achieve your goals and your dreams and your vision. And so as I started to think about my business, I had to think of it a whole new way. I listened to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of books, and I originally thought, how do I sell this, or how do I build something that I can sell? And basically what I found was that people who bought businesses were looking for a business that, number one, didn't really, the CEO or the founder was not involved in the day-to-day, because that, Rob, meant that you had both good people and good processes.
Okay.
On top of that, obviously you have to have profit and some other things. And so that's what I started to build. I started to realize that I needed to find a way to replace myself in the business. And I started that with better people, better processes, and better systems. And EOS really helped me achieve that. And so essentially, for those of you who are hearing us probably for the first time say the words EOS, and what the heck is that? EOS is the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's basically a simple set of tools or concepts, maybe timeless concepts that have been around hundreds of years,
For sure.
but have helped thousands of entrepreneurs in the world get more of what they want from their businesses. Implementing EOS really will help you get better at three specific things. One, vision. This is really about getting you and your entire leadership team 100% on the same page about where you're going and how you're going to get there. Two, EOS will help you get better at traction, which is where we help you instill discipline, focus, accountability throughout your company from top to bottom, so that no matter where you look in your company, you can see people executing on your vision. And then, of course, we help you get better at team health and being healthy. And that's really about helping you and your leadership team become a more cohesive, functional, fun-loving leadership team, or people that you like to do business with. Because if we're honest, most of the time, that's not really how it goes.
Yeah, that for sure. For sure. Now, vision, I believe that's one of the 6 keys, correct?
Yeah, there are. When it comes to EOS, the EOS model is really about making you guys better in 6 key areas of your business. And the first is vision. And again, right, when I talk about vision, I just mean getting everyone on the same page about where you're going and how you're going to get there.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, if might be a good time to just kind of walk through the 6 key components of EOS.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let me talk through those really quick. Number one is vision. Again, where you're going, how you're going to get there, and getting everybody on your team share that vision with you, and so we can all sort of picture where we're headed. The second key component in EOS is really people. You can't build a great vision without great people. And we help you with a couple of tools and disciplines to help you get the right people in the right seats. Third key component of EOS is really the data component. And this just means running your business on real facts and figures and numbers, and not the sort of subjective stuff like, emotions, feelings, thoughts, all those things that sort of drive decision-making in a lot of entrepreneurial companies. When you guys can actually make those decisions based on the numbers and the real facts and figures, obviously you'll have a better business. What happens then, though, Rob, when you get your vision all dialed in, and where you're going, how you're going to get there, you've got all the right people in all the right seats, and you've got a great data set of scorecard and metrics and measurables that you guys are working towards. What happens is your business really becomes transparent, and sort of those issues, problems, troublesome things just start to kind of shake out, and you guys start to have issues. And so the fourth key component of EOS is really your issues component. And we teach you guys a method on how to handle those issues, how to get them solved, how to get them out of your head, and not only just get them out of your head, but building a culture in your team and in your organization where that everybody in your team is willing to raise their hand, be open and honest, and go, hey, we've got a problem here, and have the courage to do that. So we have an issues list, and then we have an issues track where we help you identify, discuss, and solve sort of those issues as they come up. so that we can squash them sort of at the root. Most entrepreneurs like to slap band-aids on things. We have a problem. We're like, oh, let's just cure that symptom, but they never really dig down and figure out what the root of that problem is. And we teach how to do that in EOS.
Wonderful.
And then we're going to move on to the fifth key component of EOS, which is the process component. This is really just about getting all of your key processes, your handful of core processes documented. We're not talking about building a 700-page SOP manual, Rob. We're just talking about taking our core set of processes, how we sell our clients, how we deliver the service, how we do operations, how we hire, how we fire, how we do financials. Those core processes and getting them followed by all is really the fifth key component of EOS. And then, of course, the last, or the sixth key component of EOS, is really the traction component. And this is where we help you guys get real, true discipline, accountability, and we help you just achieve your vision. When I said vision first and then traction last, what that really means, Rob, is there's really no coincidence that traction's at the top and vision's at the bottom. Or vision's at the top, sorry, traction's at the bottom. Because if you can't bring your vision down to the ground and actually execute on it with discipline and accountability, there's a great Gino Wickman quote. It says, vision without traction is hallucination.
Oh boy. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Great. Well, so these 6 steps, these are the fundamentals and the elements of a successful entrepreneur's operating system. Now, the ultimate result of this is growing and scaling a business. Now, it's real easy for someone to think, well, this is just about interoffice or interoffice communications and relationships, but it impacts every level of the business, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think when you look at any business model, we all have some key functions in our business to operate. We all have a sales and marketing department of some sort. I mean, that's a function of our business that has to exist. We have an operations department, which is how we go out and deliver the product and service, how we treat our customers. And then, of course, we have the finance department and HR, IT, where money goes in and out, that sort of thing. Those are sort of the key functions of any business. And the truth is, all of those have to be strong. Because what happens if one of those isn't? What happens if you got a great sales department, you've got a great fulfillment department, but your finance department sucks? So it's terrible, right? Then you've lost financial control of your company. Same thing. What if your sales department's good, fulfillment's bad, but finance is good? Well, then you have great salespeople and you have a lot of churn because your fulfillment's terrible.
Right.
And also, if sales is bad, you've got a great fulfillment team and you've got a great finance team, well, then what you have is a bunch of people sitting around waiting for something to happen because there's no business coming in. So the truth is, we have to sort of attack your business across the board. It isn't just about, inter-office communication or anything like that. We actually help you sales, marketing, fulfillment, operations, finance. It's an across the board thing. And what we're really trying to do, Rob, is essentially, if you were to be honest about your business or anybody else's, and if you go to EOS Worldwide, there's an organizational checkup or an organizational checklist that you can fill out, and you can score your business on a scale of 0 to 100. Most of us, if we're honest, we're probably in the 40 to 50% effective range. Some people come out in the 20s possibly. And our goal really is to get you 100% effective in all 6 key components, knowing that 100% really is kind of, it's not really possible. It's sort of utopia.
Right.
Fine. The real companies that are running really great businesses are operating at least 80% in those six key components.
Right on. If I can just interject something right here. I talk with a lot of business owners, a lot of small and local business owners, and some have a team of 1 or 2, and some have teams of 50. But one of the things that we're constantly talking about is how do we get more with what we've got, right? And when you talk about this scoring model, and most of us are somewhere in 40 to 50, and the reality is we could go from this 40 to 50 to 80 with the teams we have and the systems or the assets, if you will, that we currently have. Let's get the systems in place. Let's get the relationships dialed in. Let's get the teams working as a cohesive unit, everybody with the same vision and goal. Am I following this right? And we're able to get accomplished a lot more without having to, oh, I need to hire more people. I need to buy more trucks, or I need to spend more on advertising and marketing. It's not necessarily the case, because we could probably really get more efficient with what we have. Is that right?
Yeah, I certainly think there's a level of efficiency that EOS brings. And a lot of it is, I don't know, we say this a lot in EOS, is really it's about keeping it simple. So we're not, these are simple tools, Rob. It's not, again, I think we maybe mentioned this, but it's not magic beans or silver bullets or rocket science or anything like that. It is a simple set of tools that, when executed, will help you, grow your business. And so when we talk about things like creating your vision, we're not talking about a 40-page, vision document here. We simply have a 2-page business plan that consists of 8 simple questions. And so, the entire process around EOS was built because, when you go to business school, the way that they teach you to run a business is more like how to run a corporation. You don't really learn small business skills. And so the skill sets of running a big corporation or running a small business are entirely different. And when Gino Wickman saw the difference between those two things, what he really wanted to do was create a system to give that sort of structure to a smaller company without having to build a giant corporation.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. How small a company can actually implement these processes, or let's talk about the size of the company that is going to be able to make benefit the best, or benefit the greatest.
As an EOS implementer, the companies that I can best help really have between 10 and 250 employees. But that doesn't mean that you can't self-implement EOS at a smaller level. EOS is really about creating your vision, getting great people on your team, putting the right people in the right seats, measuring your KPIs or your measurables, having a way to solve the problems as they arise. Okay? And what I mean by that is, I think when Gino created EOS, he realized there was a couple of different kind of companies. There was those companies who basically, like a lot of us, the entrepreneur worked, was dealing with 136 simultaneous issues. They were, working their tails off, working way too many hours, missing a lot of their kids' events and school things. But truthfully, they were dealing with a lot of issues, and they were kind of struggling, and they sort of lacked profit. They had to deal with a lot of people, things like that. The other sort of 5% of companies had a lot of the same characteristics. Their owners and operators still work their tails off. That's sort of in our nature to do that.
Yeah.
We still had the 136 issues that we were dealing with simultaneously. But there was a little bit of, I guess, a sense of balance in their lives. And so the difference between those two companies was partly how or why EOS was created. Gino wanted to give the skills that 5% have to the other 95%. And the difference really between the two, when I talk about the issues list or the issues section of EOS, the people that were in the 5% that were really running good businesses were dealing with those 136 simultaneous issues, but they were actually solving them on a regular basis. They're solving their issues every week. Now, every week they have new issues and there's new things to solve. Okay. But that's different, but they were making progress. The other 95% are dealing with those same issues over and over and over and over again, and having like the worst case of business deja vu ever. Right. So the EOS process is designed to help you, again, get great vision, get clarity on where you're going. Okay. Have great people, have all the right people in the right seats, make great decisions based on real numbers, real measurables, have an issues track and an issues list to actually solve the issues as they arise. I think I love the issues part because I resemble it a lot. You get somebody to come to you like, hey, I've got this thing. And I'm like, I can't deal with that right now. Let me shove it over in the corner here. Let me wrap it up in some duct tape and twine and shove it in the corner. I'll get to that one day. And then eventually your entire business is being run by duct tape and twine, right? It's all sort of being held together that way because you're not dealing with the issues as they arise. You're not solving them. We give you tools to do that. And then, of course, getting that core set of processes that you guys do on a regular basis, getting it done right, the right way, the best way every single time. And then, of course, having the discipline and accountability to actually make all of this work. And so that's really what EOS is about.
That's awesome. And I have heard Lyn speak on EOS a couple of times. I've read the book. I've got the book down here. There are members of my team that are constantly, we're a small team, so we're constantly trying to self-implement, and take advantage. But I have friends and contacts and mentors in other businesses, and I get to see and hear from them the success and how to leverage these things, whether it's leveraging accountability, leveraging goal setting. And it's exciting. It's actually exciting. I know that people listening to this, and probably the majority of the people that are going to listen to this probably are at 20 or fewer team members, and then there are some that are going to be higher. But it can start anywhere, and it does start with a vision, and then wanting to achieve that vision, and that's what takes us to the next step until we hit all 6 elements of EOS. Am I right there?
Yeah, I think that's right. When you talk about vision, I want to clarify that just a little bit. Your job as an entrepreneur is to build a great leadership team, right? It doesn't have to be you driving this entire bus. You've got to build a great team, a great core team of people around you. And Rob, this is not necessarily your vision. This is the vision that you guys create together as a team. When you sit down and you write your core values for your company, it shouldn't be you. It should be, what are the core values of our team?
Wow.
What does it mean to be a great team member here at our company? Okay. And so when you do that together, when you do it with your team, when you build your vision and you build out your core values, when you build out your scorecards or your KPIs and metrics, and you have your leadership team involved, you get complete company buy-in because they can now see a future for themselves here at the company because now they understand the vision because they've built it.
Right on. So now we have maybe a self-driven business, right? And the people are all, they bought in, they're motivated, they want to achieve the same vision. Who of us listening, or of us entrepreneurs and business owners, wouldn't love to have a business that can kind of run itself because you've got a great leadership team that understands the vision and the goal and the process that we're doing. And that is one of the greatest elements, if you will, of EOS, or Entrepreneur's Operating System, is building a machine, if you will.
Yeah, I think if you continually place yourself in the middle of the business, then it has to run on you. Then you will be stuck with a job. It won't be sellable because it will rely on you. And then what happens if you God forbid, get sick, get hit by a bus, get disabled in some way, and so that you can't run the business. Your job as an entrepreneur, for yourself and for your family, is to build a great leadership team.
So important. So important. I'm making notes on that. Well, I've got it recorded. But I mean, that's so critical for us to understand as our place as an entrepreneur or a business owner or that manager. What is our job? What do we really need to do here? If we could we spend a few minutes just kind of, maybe someone that's listening right now, and maybe they're on driving to the next job or something like that, and they're going, okay, well, where do I start with creating a vision that I want, or that I want to present to my team to get their input for? What are the elements of creating that vision, that can help somebody with some structure, so that it doesn't just seem like a dream or a pipe dream?
Yeah, I would say that there are sets of tools in EOS. So EOS is really, you can self-implement this. So if you go to eosworldwide.com, you can download the EOS tools. One of the main tools in EOS, and one of the first tools that we attack when we do an implementation, is called the Vision Traction Organizer. And whether you hire me to help you, or there are 648 other EOS implementers in the world besides myself. I would say if you want to put EOS in your business, you should reach out to one of us and have a discussion about EOS and see if it's a good fit for you to have an implementer, because you can implement and you can definitely improve your business. But if you want to have a quantum leap in your business, you want to take it to a whole new level, you'll get there in so much faster with an EOS implementer helping you. But if you're going to self-implement, definitely use the EOS tools. The 5 fundamental tools of EOS are really the Vision Traction Organizer. And this is where you sort of build that vision. It's a 2-page document. There's first side of it's the vision side, second side of it's the traction side. So here's our plan. Here's what we're going to do. Flip it over. And this is how we're going to get it done. Okay. And when we do that exercise with our clients, we do something really, really complicated to help you figure that out. We ask you 8 simple questions. Okay. So let me go over those 8 questions with you really quickly, just so you understand what they are. Number 1, what are your core values? Okay. And this is really about, what does it mean to be a great employee at XYZ Garage Door Company, right? What does it mean to be a great employee there? What are the core values of the people that are already on your team that we want to encourage, that we want to grow, that we want to attract, that we want to maybe we build our core values to repel the kind of people we don't want in our company. So what we're really building there, our core values, is what are the qualities or core values of the people that we want to attract to our team. So take your best employee. What are their qualities? If you could clone that person and had 100 of them, that you could take over the world, right? And so we build out core values as a team. Then we really, the second fundamental tool of EOS is the accountability chart. And this is about, putting all the right people in the right seats. And then we help you create rocks, which are your 90-day biggest business priorities. We'll help you install a meeting pulse, which is, how you run your weekly meetings. It's typically called the level 10 meeting.
Right.
The reason it's called the level 10 meeting is most people that we ask to, how would you rate your meetings on a scale of 1 to 10? Most people say 4 or 5. We're going to teach you how to run a level 10 meeting. We want those meetings being incredibly effective. They're going to start on time. They're going to end on time. They're going to be the same time every week. So same start time, same end time, same day, and it'll have an agenda. It's the most effective hour and a half that you guys will spend together every week. And then we're going to help you build a scorecard. And that's really, what are the key metrics that if you, as the business owner, were on a deserted island, let's just say you had no internet access, you had no access to the outside world, and your cabana boy or girl brought you over a scorecard or a piece of paper that could only have 5 to 15 numbers on it, key numbers that gave you a pulse of your business, what would that scorecard look like? How could you look at that scorecard and know we're on track or we're off track? Okay. So we help you develop that. So those are the 5 core foundational tools of EOS, which are the VTO, Vision Traction Organizer, accountability chart, the rocks, which are your 90-day biggest business priorities, your meeting pulse, and your scorecard. Now, I got a little off track there because we were talking about the 8 questions on the VTO. Number 1, what are your core values? Number 2, what is your core focus? This is like, what is it that you do and who do you do it for? What do you do better than anybody in the world? What are you guys focused on? What's your niche? And why do you do what you do? It's a great exercise because we really pare down about why you do what you do, and we can help your team really understand the focus of your company and why you do what you do. Okay. The third question on the Vision Traction Organizer is, what is your 10-year target? This is sort of your BHAG or your big, hairy, audacious goal. And the mission there is to really get everybody on the same team about your North Star, your guiding principle of what you're after as a company. Okay. Question number 4 on the Vision Traction Organizer is, what is your marketing strategy? And that's really broken down into a few different things. Who's your core target? What's your core marketing message? What are your 3 uniques? What is your proven process? Do you have a guarantee? Those sort of things. We help you define that as a team. Then we get into, what is your 3-year picture? So if we've set a 10-year target or 5-year target or 20-year target, whatever, that number is a little flexible timeline wise. But when we set that target, we're going to reverse engineer that. We're going to start to bring that down to the ground. We're going to start making it real, and we're going to create a 3-year picture. So we're going to say, what does your company need to look like just 3 years from now to know that we're on track to hit that 10-year target or that 5-year target, that 20-year target? So we're going to create a picture, vivid picture of what your company looks like. We're going to predict revenue, profit, measurables. We're going to have a future date on that. We're going to say 3 years from now. And then we're going to paint a picture. And we're going to say, okay, how many trucks are we going to need to have to fit that? How many team members? How many customer service reps? How many? And we're going to build that out, and we can all visualize it. Okay. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to look at that thing, and I'm going to ask you, can you see it? Can you see that happening for this company? And we're going to reverse that a little bit more. We're going to go to a 1-year plan. We're going to create your 3 to 7 biggest business goals that we have to get done over the next year. What is our 1-year goal here? So then we're going to take that down, and we're going to get into a 90-day world, Rob. We're going to start working in 90-day world. And what I mean by that is we're going to break down all of your tasks, all of your issues, all of your problems, all of your goals, all of your dreams. And we're going to break that down, and we're going to determine the next 3 to 7 90-day biggest business priorities that you guys need to get done in the next 90 days to feel like we're on track to hit that 1-year target. Okay. Those are our quarterly rocks. Those are 90-day rocks. And then we're going to build an issues list. We're going to give you a place to get those things out of your head. We're going to teach you how to solve those problems as they arise. There's a lot of therapy here, and sort of, I think we all carry around just so much stuff that we have to deal with, and then we have to do, and we got these problems. In EOS, we compartmentalize everything. We have a spot for it. You do not have to carry that weight on your shoulders. When you have an issue, you got something going on, we're going to throw it on the issues list, and we have a plan and an activity to be able to deal with that, later in the week or down the road. So those are really the 8 questions on the VTO.
Awesome. I mean, how many of us listening, and I say us because I'm included in this, wouldn't love to be able to have a goal, have a vision, and we think about this day in and day out on our way to the office or on our way to the jobs. We want to accomplish that. Who would like to have it broken down into some fundamentals? This is what we're going to do in 90 days. This is what we're going to do in a year, with the actual written out and spelled out steps for us to take. Now, in a lot of ways, I'm making it sound simple because it is. These are fundamentals that if we don't have someone like an implementer to help us pay attention on a daily or weekly basis, these things are a great idea. We're thinking about it today, but 2 weeks later, we realize we haven't. And then things slip, right? And then we're not accomplishing what we want to. And this is what this does. It helps us be conscious of the steps we need to be taking, and the results we need, the achievements and the results and the milestones that we need to have. I think this is fabulous. I'm getting converted right here, just listening, paying attention.
I think some of us have done in the past have probably done a good job with our vision, and we sat down and we said, hey, this is what I really want. I want to grow my company to this level, and there's some things that I want to do, and maybe we've even talked through it with the team, and we got a little fancy, and we put it in a fancy binder, and we printed it out, and then we set it on our desk, and then a week later, and then it starts to get covered up with the mail, and then pretty soon you just got this pile, and you stick it in the drawer, and then pretty soon your team's going, hey, it's time to set our new annual. We need to do our annual plan again. You're like, well, we have that. Wait, it's here in the drawer somewhere, right? Right. In EOS, we not only help you build that vision, but we help you build the plan to actually execute on it.
Right on. That's so important, guys. And don't take this lightly. I've started and sold businesses. I've started and handed off businesses. And I've been on the outside looking into other businesses. And I'm telling you, 99% of us are suffering from the same things: distractions, accountability, and just some overwhelm that takes us away from the track that we need to be on. And that's what this does. Lyn, can you take a minute, and this is a pop quiz question, but can you take a minute and maybe share some of your experience in interviewing and helping nurturing businesses that are starting with EOS, where they were 6 months later, where they were even a year later, like the immediate tangible differences that they felt that you may have seen in helping people?
Sure. No, I've worked with quite a few companies now in implementing EOS. I don't want to call any of them out specifically and share their laundry, however you want to call that. But I've seen remarkable turnarounds in companies. I've seen them for the first time. I've seen team members say things on calls like, "This is the first time I feel like I've been heard."
Wow.
Most of us as entrepreneurs, we run sort of these little mini dictatorships, and unfortunately we dictate what's supposed to happen to our team, and they go out and they try and execute on it. But when you build a leadership team and you actually get some people in the room, sometimes it's family, sometimes it's people close to you. We're all about really healthy conflict and entering the danger. And so as an EOS implementer, sometimes we get in that room and things get a little heated, or somebody gets quiet. It's my job in those meetings to actually call that out and to say, "Hey, I feel like there's a little bit of something here that we need to talk about. Is that something that we want to solve today?" And we dig in. The problems in our business aren't between us; they're in front of us. And so if we can work together as a leadership team, and we're really truly working for the greater good of our company, and we've designed our vision, here's where we want to go, and here's how we're going to get there. Those issues that come up are solvable. Like, oh, okay, this is what we need to do here, and let's solve that. And we give you that in the issues track, in the issue solving track, and how to do that. But I've seen some remarkable things. Just recently, I met with a company. We do an exercise called the accountability chart, and we basically map out all of the functions in the business. No names, no titles, none of that. We strip away all that. We say, what are the major functions? And then, and only then, we start to define the role. What are the 5 most important things that function is responsible for? So in sales and marketing, it might be sales, it might be marketing, it might be revenue, it might be reporting, that kind of thing. In finance, it might be, accounting, bookkeeping, taxes, whatever. In operations, it might be how you deliver your product and service. We map all that out, and then we put the right people in the right seats. Just above that layer, Rob, is something called the integrator. And this is really the person that drives accountability and focus and discipline in your company. Sometimes that's your visionary, but most often that's not a visionary skill. Most often there's a visionary above that. So we have a visionary, integrator, and then the functions of your business.
There we go.
So we were recently building this out for a company that I worked with. And one of the questions that I ask when we're done with this exercise, when we've got all the right people in all the right seats, and we've got all of their functions, the last question that I ask them is, do you have enough time to do your job successfully? The person that I was with started to break down. She said, I just don't. I don't have enough time to do all of that. The CEO was shocked by that and was surprised. But because it was drawn out on the board, he realized that she was in too many spots. She had too much to do. He instantly created a new position. He said, let's hire for that new spot. Let's do that. He took about 50% of her workload off of her that day. Wow. There were tears. Yeah. There was joy. And we built that in a session. I mean, it was just amazing to see her workload get cut in half, all that pressure that was on her sort of get relieved. It's that kind of breakthrough that we see almost every time I get in a session.
Right on. That's beautiful, actually. And we need that. Our businesses need that, whether we have a team of 10 or a team of 100. We need people to be heard. We need people to feel relieved. The kinds of change that allow people to be more productive. That's wonderful. Well,
I think one of the biggest problems that most of us have in our business, I think there was a philosopher or mathematician. His name was Kurt Gödel. He's a contemporary of Einstein's. He proved scientifically that you cannot both understand a system and be a part of the system at the same time. Okay?
Oh, wow.
our good friend Jody Underhill says, you can't see the picture when you're standing in the frame, right? It's a couple different ways to look at that.
Yeah.
It's really hard to look at a picture when you're in the frame. So in EOS, what we do with your leadership team is we elevate you. We take you out of the day-to-day. We pull you to the 20, 30,000 foot level, and we look down upon your business and all of its moving parts. Okay. We're not working in the business that day. We're working on the business. So when we get together, we're working on the business, including the CEO, including the visionary, including all of its moving parts. And as a team or the board of directors, we're actually playing chess here. We're moving the pieces around and we're making it fit. We're making it work. We're finding issues, challenges, problems. We're solving them. We're figuring out, okay, this person has too much work to do, or maybe this person's no longer a great fit in our company. They're not living our core values. We're giving you the skills and the tools to be able to operate that way. And so you're not always buried and stuck in the weeds in the day-to-day. We're trying to get you out of the weeds, out of the tall grass, get up above the tree line so we can see if we're cutting in the right direction.
Man, so many of us need that. Okay, one last question, and then we probably need to just kind of bring it home. But you have been involved with lots of companies, your own personal involvement, but just you've seen companies implement this, you've seen all, across the spectrum. You've seen all kinds of companies that get a start and kind of die off, or really implement it hardcore and stick with it long term and reap that reward. Without getting into anybody's details, what are some of the one-liners, if you will, after 90 days or after 6 months or after a year of implementing this and adapting to it, getting the system in? What are the aha statements that some of these company owners are saying, so that somebody listening might go, that's exactly what I need. I would love it if in a year I was saying whatever, fill in the blank.
Yeah. I again, without sort of naming names, I've got a series of kind of quotes that or testimonials that people have sent me. One of them said, EOS saved our agency.
Okay.
One of them said, you're doing yourself, your future self, your employees, and your team a disservice by not doing EOS. Someone said, there's guesswork, there's hard work, and then there's frameworks. And EOS is the framework that you need to grow your business. Okay. So those are some of the statements that some of our clients have brought to us around EOS.
Right.
A lot of people say it's been a game changer for them. But the truth is, I've never had anybody say, I wish we would have waited longer to put in EOS.
Right.
Everybody, to a man, to a woman, says, I wish we'd have done this sooner.
Right. And that's what we want. That's what I wanted to get to, is, people going, the guys that have dove in, right, and they've gotten involved and they've implemented and they've worked this system. They're saying, I wish I would have done this sooner. That should tell us a lot, guys. That should tell all of us something. We're not going to get back time. What passes us by today, we're just going to be starting over in the future. And we talk a lot about any system that we implement. The longer you wait is the longer you wait till we have a result. And I would love it if everyone could, that feels like they need some structure, some organization, some framework, if we can, to your business. Let's get involved with Lyn and EOS. Lyn is available to consult. Obviously, it's not necessarily free if Lyn is involved in really building your company, but you can talk with him. And I'd love to put anybody that's interested in touch with Lyn and start making a difference in your business. I have clients that are really ground level, like their business is 2, 3, 4 months old. And they want so desperately to have a structure and a framework. And, I'm trying to do what I can to help with that, but I do think they need an implementer, someone that's actually knows the system top to bottom. And I want anyone that wants to, I want you to have access to Lyn and this system. So, Lyn, you are open, if I understand right, you are open if for the right companies to be able to get involved with you and
yeah, for sure. Let me give you a couple options. One, maybe you're too small. I don't know. Maybe you're not. There's a couple of different ways to do this. You can self-implement, and I want to help you do that too. Okay. If you're a visionary of your company and you're wondering if EOS is right for you, I'd like you to go get this book. It's called Get a Grip. Okay. This is the fable of EOS. This isn't the manual or the how-to. This is the sort of the why you should do it. It's a really good walkthrough explanation of somebody who has a company. They're struggling to grow. They're having challenges just like all of us too, right? And then they hire an EOS implementer that comes in and basically puts EOS in their company. This is a really, really great book for the visionary mind, for someone who's not into the details and the execution and the dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Now, if you're an integrator, if you're the director of operations at your company, or you're the chief operating officer, this might be your book. It's called Traction. This is by Gino Wickman. Also, this is the how-to or the guide to EOS. Okay. If you're self-implementing, I recommend those two books for sure. Also, go to eosworldwide.com, download the EOS tools, do the organizational checklist, do those things, and just check and see where you are. Get some more information about EOS. There's a directory of EOS implementers there. I'm available for you. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to talk to you about that too. That's the other options, to work directly with me and doing a full EOS implementation. If you're serious about EOS and you just want to have a quick 15-minute conversation to see if this is sort of a good fit to kind of move forward, let's jump on a quick call. Just quick 15 minutes. I'm sure we can share a link to a calendar or something like that. We can share some contact information for me. No obligation whatsoever. I truly want you to implement EOS, whether you do it with me, another implementer, or do it on your own. EOS, I truly believe in the system. It's changed my life. If in that 15-minute call, we think, hey, this might be a good fit for you and your team, let's go present it to them. Let's just see if the team will buy in. Let's see if we can get them on board. I'll come and do a 90-minute meeting with you and your leadership team, and that there's no charge for this. Let me explain EOS to your team. Let's show them the discipline, the accountability, the vision, the traction. Let me show it to your team, and let's see if it's a good fit for you guys. And quite frankly, let's see if I'm a good fit for you.
Wow. That is awesome. That is awesome, guys. Right there. No obligation check to see if this is a good fit for your team and see where you guys can grow. Everybody should be taking note and looking for an opportunity when the time might be right. And I'll get Lyn's contact information, and we'll put it below this here pretty soon. I expect by today. I'll make sure there's a link below on how to get a hold of Lyn. And even like Lyn said, some of this, if some of us are small enough teams, we need to do some self-implementation. There's still all that information and content and structure or frameworks available to us. And so don't sleep on this. Take advantage of what you can until you are the right fit. And you can be able to work with somebody like Lyn while you're in the self-implementation phase and get your team to a place that you would be a good fit.
Yeah, if you guys have roughly 10 employees or more, somewhere around in that range, I think I don't know revenue level. I would say somewhere in the $1 million range a year, something like that. We can talk about what EOS implementation costs. It's less than you think. And I'm not going to share prices here on a call. We need to get on a call and talk about that. It's less than you think it is, and it will change your business and change your life. And it'll give you that structure and discipline and accountability and vision and all those things that we want to help you do. I want to help you get your vision realized. We all have big visions as visionaries of our companies. We all have all of these things that we want to get done. Let's help you get that vision down on paper. Let's get it shared by the entire team, and let's start executing with discipline and accountability so you guys can reach your goals and dreams.
Awesome. Let's get everybody's buy-in and just like Lyn said, reach your goals and dreams. Wonderful. Well, thanks everybody that's made it to this point. Thank you again, Lyn. I really do appreciate. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing what you do, but I really appreciate our friendship as well, and it means a lot to me. So, guys, we're going to have this broken down into a few different segments so that you can kind of see where you're at and maybe kind of re-listen to some of this and get some inspiration for what stage of the game you're at. But grab some of this. There's a lot of information that's available at no charge for you to test the water and see what you think. Well, great. We're going to let everybody go. Our podcasts are usually weekly on Thursdays. We're going to have one that's been pre-recorded that we'll be releasing this Thursday. And coming up here in about 10 days, we have Al Levy, and you know that guy talks about systems and SOPs and structuring your company and training. I mean, there's so many gold nuggets that are going to be coming down the pipe. And then we also have Tommy Mello coming in October. So we have some great people that are joining in, that are wanting to help our garage door business owners hit success and impact and freedom in their lives. So anyway, we're going to bounce. Talk to you guys later. Thanks.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay. Now, one more. Thanks for listening to the Garage Door Heroes podcast. I'm your host, Robb Leishman. If you got value today, hit subscribe and share this with another garage door hero you know. This show is brought to you by the Legit 5 Garage Door Marketing Team, helping garage door companies grow and dominate their markets. Until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and keep winning.